Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Brony Music History. Few musicians can claim to have both released their first Brony remix in April 2011 and still be contributing to the beating heart of the fandom today. Co-running the Mumble Etc. record label with Koa, his many aliases span the full breadth of musical styles, with a staggering level of diversity, from soft chillout to metal, hardcore and electro. He's performed at multiple Summer Sun celebrations, at Buck, TrotCon, and the baseball at Whinny City Ponycon. As well as Mumble Etc., he's contributed to Balloon Party, Pinkamena Party, and Ponies at Dawn, as well as taken part in many Toastbeards and Mumble Wars. From the UK, please welcome General Mumble.
Hello, please welcome me.
You are very, very welcome. How you doing?
I just woke up, but it's a nice sunny day, and I think I'm doing pretty good.
That is great to hear. How
are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It is 11 at night, and I have work in 6 hours.
Oh, good.
But that is the wonderful benefits of the internet and the many things it allows us to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get cracking. So Shyfire asks, how did you come to find an interest in music, and where did it all start for you?
Well, I mean, that basically takes me back like 20 years to my childhood. I won't bore you with every detail because I don't remember them as well, but I started like plodding around with making music when I was probably like 9, when I got one of those EJ CDs in came free with some cereal. And I would just like, in the same breath as like having a friend over to play video games, we'd just pop open EJ and make some stupid crap for a couple hours, and it's not very good. It's also still out there to listen somewhere.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, over the course of my teenage years, with the same friend, I got in a band and a couple other people. I didn't get in a couple other people. I got in a band with them. And yeah, and then eventually in early 2010, I started making music by myself, just using a FL Studio, and that's where it all sprouted as far as like the current General Mumble project goes.
And so you started General Mumble as a duo.
Correct, with the same friend I mentioned.
And that was before Pony, right?
Yeah, just about. It was in April 2010, as I said, but the duo thing didn't last super long. With the same friend that I made music with growing up, he was the one who showed me FL, and then we made a couple of stupid things, and then he went off to university. And I basically just said, hey, can I continue using this name? Because it was just a crappy hobby back then. It wasn't anything of any notoriety. So he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I continued by myself.
Yeah, okay. And so you were coming in with a background in making music, but definitely not at any, I guess, professional level.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to Pony?
So my partner at the time knew my music. I had showed her a few of the things that I had done, and she enjoyed them. And before I even knew that the show existed, she suggested that I remix something from the show, and I was like, okay, go on, give me something to remix. And she was like, okay, try remixing Winter Wrap Up. So I did that, and it got picked up by a couple people in the fandom. I don't know if Equestria Daily was around then.
It did. It was your first feature on Equestria Daily.
Yeah, that was entirely out of the blue for me. I didn't really know what was going on. And that picked up some views for it, like much more than my, secular stuff had done. So I checked it out, and I was like, what's all the fuss about?
Bit of a wow, this is doing numbers moment?
Yeah, pretty much. And I didn't hop in because like, oh, this is going to get me clout. It was just like, okay, well, this seems to be a big deal. So I.
Did you see many other people making pony music at the same time? Like after you sort of had that initial, look around, did you see anyone else that was cracking along?
Yeah, So it really didn't take long. Obviously, I didn't know anything about like the pony music scene before I had made the thing, but as soon as I got like that feature and the views, and I got acquainted with the show and stuff, it didn't take long for people to just sort of start talking to me. And then I had a foot into a community of other music people, and there were like sites being set up for full of forums for people to share and talk about the music they're making, and it just kind of it's a big blur now. Really, it all just kind of happened within the course of a couple months, and I just met a lot of people who made music and heard a lot of new music, and it was just very much all at once.
Yeah, and so the thing that sort of did the thing that attracted you to the fandom was the idea of a musical community.
I think so. That's a good question, because it wasn't just that attracted me to it. Like, I did genuinely enjoy the show when I watched it, of course. I actually, to be honest, didn't really know that fandoms were really a thing back then. Like,
This is 2010 internet as well.
Yeah. I knew that obviously like Trekkies were a thing, but I thought they were a joke that just people made fun of. And other than that, I was not really based in any fan clubs or anything like that. And then I realized that there's this big internet scene for this show, and I'm like, that's oddly specific. And
Yeah.
it was very enjoyable, honestly. But yeah, I don't remember what exactly pulled me there, if it was any one thing or just the whole moment.
Yeah. And so those early fan sites you were talking about, are you talking about things like My Little Remix?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Do you remember a lot of the early competitions, like the Toastbeards and the Remix Wars and stuff?
Yes, very fondly, especially the Toastbeards. Like, obviously, the Remix Wars were far between each one, and just like a couple big deals a year. But the Toastbeards ran every week, sometimes in between, and it was a very close knit group of friends. So yeah, the Toastbeards are like way up there, and in my fondest memories of the fandom.
For just for the members of the audience, like myself, who may have joined much later, can you walk us through the Toastbeard concept?
Sure can. So Toastbeard was set up by a friend of mine called Sai, and then later run by a few other people. It is essentially a little, I guess you could call it a website. It was pretty much just a web page in which every week a challenge would be posted, and it was typically that week's episode of MLP. And the idea is all the musicians come in, they read the challenge on whatever day it was. I guess it was Saturday, whenever an episode aired. And it had finished, and then we'd see it, and it would be like, okay, the challenge this week is remix something from this. And then you would have 1 week until the next Friday, I think, or the night before the episode, to just make some music. And then on that last day, everyone would get their submissions in, and we'd all group up in an IRC chat and synchronize listen to them. And it was all like very, very fun. Everyone would react in chat and things like that. And it was just very, very friendly. And then at the end, you could use the website to cast a vote on your top 5. And the winner gets nothing, but it's fun.
So it sounds a lot like it's a bit of an incubator for people to just really develop their skills in that sort of amateur setting without too much pressure.
Absolutely. It really felt like absolutely no pressure, because it was just among friends, and obviously people from outside the friend group would occasionally come in and make stuff, but they would just be welcomed with open arms. So like anyone can come in and you just make stuff and everyone reacts positively. And it was a wonderful place. I really think it helped spur pony music in the early days, for sure, because so much good stuff was born in there and everyone knew each other.
Yeah. I've heard many people talk about, just how important it was to support each other in the development of their skills in those early times. All right, let's talk about music. So the first track you released was a Winter Wrap Up remix. What have you found most inspiring from the show for your songs?
That's a good question. So a lot of my early work, especially, wasn't really made using the songs themselves. It would be like catchy sound bites when the characters would say things. Like if someone said something perhaps a little bit rhythmically, or I don't know, something was particularly isolated from the music behind it and gave clean sampling material, then I would just, on the day of seeing an episode, be like, I'll remember that, and go like chop it up and throw it into something. Um, as far as like the show directly inspiring my music, I wouldn't actually say a lot of that really happened. Like the music you hear in the show is not something that I would typically make. Um, it really was just like, oh, I like these characters, I like the things they say. Um, just the sort of, it was more, I guess, the vibe inspired a lot of it. Just like, this is cool, this is happy, this is goofy and fun. I want to make goofy and fun things. Yeah, that hard question to answer, really.
Yeah. It's a big one, and yeah. But on the, I think that's a perfect segue to talk about "She's a Pony," because that is a track. That is a track that basically just samples a single catchy line from the show, and I'm pretty sure it's. I mean, for me personally, that was the way that I found out about Mumble. And I think a lot of people talked about it. Do you remember what you were thinking when you were making that for the first time?
I can vaguely remember it. It was a Toastbeard thing.
There we go.
Yep. I can't remember if it was for that week's episode. I don't think it was. I think it was a random Toastbeard challenge, just like make something themed with pirates, I think it was. Yeah, the Toastbeard theme, I believe, that week was just pirates, because it was in between seasons. And so, yeah, that sort of led me to make this little sea shanty thing, which is like the first half of it. And I was just mostly doodling, not really thinking where this is going to go. And then, have you heard of the band Ailstorm?
Yes, yeah, they're a pirate metal band.
Yes, that's correct. Back like in their very early days, they had a song called No Quarter, which I don't remember most of it, but halfway through the bridge was just like it suddenly goes into and I thought it was just really cool how they threw that in without like caring at all. So I was like, how can I do exactly that? And so that's what led me to try and incorporate it. And yeah, I made the little instrumental, and I was like, well, this isn't really pony music anymore. So
we're just remixing Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I was like, can I make this pony in any way? And this would have been, I guess, one of my first forays into retuning vocals into like a different key. And I took the Grand Galloping Gala little line that Pinky sings and just tried repitching it. It worked way better than expected, and it synced up way better than expected. It was just a stroke of luck. And then on the night where everyone sync listened, everyone was listening to the track, and they were like, yeah, this is cool and stuff. And then it starts building up into the Pirates of the Caribbean bit, and they're like, huh. And then the vocals kick in, and everyone just loses it. And that is like one of my favorite moments of Toastbeard, just seeing everyone lose it. That when that happened for the first time, it was euphoric.
Oh, fabulous. All right, well, that's, I think, the best description of the track we're going to get, but let's give it a listen in full. This is She's a Pony. It was eventually released on the album Clop from 2012.
Get a glass of water.
All right, that bring back some memories.
Yeah, it was the first time I've listened to that all the way through in a long time.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite parts about doing this podcast is really diving deep into nostalgia and looking through everyone's different catalogs. So a lot of people would know your version, but I think more people would probably know the Glaze version as well. Is that another?
I think so too.
Yeah, the YouTube view count says so as well. Is that another case of the Living Tombstone writing Discord?
Yeah, it would seem so, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Although I'd say the original Discord has definitely like still got a big place in people's hearts, even if the other has more like I guess mainstream viewing. I know my wife got into the fandom from hearing the remix of Discord, not even realizing it was a pony song. So
It's a common story.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, isn't it? Like it's just it's definitely a more accessible version, the remix. So like I can understand why it has the views it has.
Yeah. But still, I mean, your one's almost at 1 million. It just the absolute scale. I mean, did you think when you released this in your Toastbeard that you were going to have a song with 800,000 views on YouTube?
Hell no. No, I thought that was, those were silly numbers, especially back then. Like, yeah, those numbers were saved like entirely for just viral videos and things like that. Like, I never thought anything like that would even get like more than 1,000 or 2. Like, that's how much of a sapling I was back then.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk mostly about General Mumble tracks and that, but I do want to touch on Mumble, etc. So you've said before that the inspiration for Mumble, etc. was Lapfox tracks, which is a sort of like a virtual label with one person having multiple aliases in the same label. When did that start? And why did you start cracking along with that?
So yeah, once I got into this fandom and met a few people, that's when I started hearing about Lapfox tracks, just through forums and people recommending other music. And it took me a minute before I caught on that there was like multiple artists within this one artist, under one like fake label kind of thing. I thought it was really cool, and I got like really into their music. But I did eventually, like at some point, branch off and make a couple extra aliases, not really thinking too hard about, doing my own version of that. I made the General Mumble thing just for, okay, I'm going to make some crap today. Here's a funny name. And then, I made the Damien alias for darker, heavier stuff because I felt like it would be just completely, not fitting for the rest of the things I made. So I separated those two, but I still wasn't really thinking until like 2013 or 14, I can't remember which it was, that I thought, okay, I'll just rip this idea off and do my own version of it. Because, again, not because I thought, okay, this is an idea that will get me clout and it's zany and interesting. It was just like, I really like that. I think it's kind of inspiring that if I have lots of different characters with their own stories, then that would shape their music, as well as just letting me be able to make, more of a shotgun spread of genres. It would give them personalities and things like that. So yeah, like the inspiration definitely came from Lapfox, but it really did just sort of like the idea buried itself in my head as just a really good idea and something I wanted to make my own. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and you've absolutely made it your own. The amount of people that I still hear that think that all of your aliases are different people. I mean, I was listening to the Keeping Friendship Magic podcast that you were on a couple of months ago, and just hearing them just like, oh, what's it like running a label? It reminds me a lot of the Gorillas, where it's almost like you know, each of the people in the band, quote unquote, has their own personality and their own style. And then you hear that in the tunes. Yeah. So that's been awesome. And so now you co-run that with Koa.
Correct.
And we're going to talk more about the later history, and also talk about your relationship with Koa and how that's influenced your music towards the end of the show. But keeping it in the 2012 vibes, the first convention you attended was Buck in 2012. Is that right?
No.
Oh, okay.
The first convention I attended would have been BronyCon, I think.
Oh, wow. So you were
2012.
You were at the first BronyCon?
I think it might have been the second.
Oh, the second. Okay.
Yeah, there was that very small one, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah. The meetup. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. We can fact check that later.
It was in 2012.
Yeah.
It was a BronyCon in 2012 in New Jersey.
And so at that time you weren't performing. Did you have any aspirations to perform after going?
No. I didn't even see any performances at the 2012 BronyCon, or did I? Yeah, I did for like 20 minutes. I sat with Glaze and he was very tired, and we watched them from a distance. But that sort of seemed like way above me. Like I didn't even see myself possibly being up on a stage doing stuff like that. So I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest.
And so you didn't think about it then. Did you think about it at Buck, the first Buck?
I had to, because I was asked to.
Yeah.
So I sure did have to think about it. It came up kind of by surprise. Like I was asked to perform there, and I was like, wow. Heart's racing at 3 times as fast as it should. I didn't really know what I was doing, but yeah, I had to.
Yes, and so you come from a background of studio production rather than live performance. So I'm assuming you learned to perform for Buck?
Pretty much, because here's a not too secret. I didn't really do much in terms of music at Buck. I just pre-made a thing, had some effects over it that I would twiddle around with, and so I pretty much had to perform. Otherwise, I was literally doing nothing.
Yeah. And you
so
you weren't the first, and you wouldn't be the last.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't. I didn't want to cheat my way through it. Like, it's not really been something I've kept secret. It's just I didn't know how to DJ. I didn't really have the time to learn how to DJ, nor did I really want to. Like, I don't know. I wanted to do something that was just more of a performance about stage presence rather than calculated mixing and things like that. Because that part scared me, and I thought if I can just dance around on the stage and wiggle my butt, that would be more fun. So that's what I did.
And how did you feel the reaction you got was? Did it feel inspiring? Did it make you want to do it more?
Yes, it did. It made me want to come back next year, which I was gracefully allowed to. The reaction was way more positive than I expected for the first one, despite the fact that I, was just sort of cheesing it. I got a very positive response from both my producer friends and just people in the audience. So yeah, it was very much a pump of energy for the next time.
Gorgeous. All right, let's play another track from that era. You recently remastered Gator in the Tub. What was it like revisiting that? And also, how do you feel about revisiting your old work in general?
It's fun. So I listened back on a lot of my old stuff, and now because I've been making music in the pony scene for 11 years, or 10 years, 11 years, whatever, listening to stuff back then, I can't help but have a bit of a critical ear because I've got new habits and new skill sets and things like that. So I just thought, okay, well, this is the first song I did with vocals in the pony scene. let's just redo the vocals and give it some new mixing. It was really fun to revisit. I'm glad I could open the file.
Yeah.
I want to do it. I want to do it for some other things that at least contain vocals and such as well, but I don't know when I'll do that.
All right. So let's play Gator in the Tub. Originally released in, I think, 2012 or 2011.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I think it was 2011.
On the album, eventually released on the album Spikezilla. This is Gator in the Tub and the 2021 remaster.
breaking a sweat, watching you soak off the mud. I tell you it's been a while. Your purple skin evokes a yummy smile. So put your trust in me, I sink my gums into you. I might be missing some teeth, but got a trick or two. Get yourself nice and clean, I'm feeling pinky keen. I'll make you fall in love with the gator in the tub. So put your trust into me, I sink my gums into you. I might be missing some teeth, but got a trick or two. Get yourself nice and clean, I'm feeling pinky keen. I'll make you fall in love with the gator in the tub.
And there it is, Gator in the Tub. So nice to hear that song with a new coat of paint. I think the original has aged surprisingly well, but just with a remaster, it just sounds like a brand new song.
I'm glad you think so.
Yeah. So Brony Musical Hater asks, what's the inspiration for making your more cursed material? Because you've never been one to shy away from more like shitposty mashcore stuff, but also from inspiration from the more darker elements of the fandom, whether it's in your Halloween albums, or just, I don't know, the stuff that might not really fit within the context of the show. It seems like it's something you've come back to again and again. Why is that?
I don't know. I just don't really take things super seriously. Like, I don't really want to paint this image of myself like super serious or, unable to just let go and do something dumb. Like, I don't know. I've always had a stupid sense of humor since I was a kid. That's never particularly grown up. So I don't see why I shouldn't express that in music sometimes. I don't know. I don't really. I guess I don't care if people find my sense of humor funny or not. Like, and it's certainly shaped a lot of things I've done, especially with friends. Like getting together with friends, almost everything I do with them is stupid, and it certainly helps loosen the air when collaborating and things like that. So I think just, being able to let go and be stupid with your creative process sometimes is it can be very freeing because you stop taking yourself seriously so much. And I'm not saying that should obviously be everything you do. Like you wouldn't want to make something, really serious and quote good and then just like put some farts in it. But it's a good thing to be able to let go and do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've said on several occasions that you mostly make music for yourself rather than for other people. Do you think that's affected your creative process as well?
Yeah, there have been times when I've tried making things that are just more of a broad appeal, and it's not like I haven't enjoyed it, but it certainly just it sucks the life out of producing for sure, for me at least. Obviously, there are people who really enjoy doing things like that, and I'm not going to fault it. But for me, just being able to throw in anything I feel like, and even if it garners more of a niche listening audience, that's what I'd rather have instead of like lots of people who expect me to put out something of a certain type, something of a certain quality. I would rather just make something and then the people that like it, and I don't know, that just feels more homely to me, more just fun, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on the topic of sort of less serious collaborations with friends, and also probably some more serious ones, you've appeared on multiple compilations throughout your time in Pony. You've been on Balloon Party, on Pinkamena Party, more recently on Ponies at Dawn. What have compilations offered, do you think, to yourself and to the wider pony fandom at large? Okay. Why did you apply for your first Balloon Party?
Well, that one would have just been because everyone was doing it. Like all of my friend group musicians at the time were just like, yeah, Balloon Party's coming up, Balloon Party this, Balloon Party that. Like it was everywhere in our friend group, and I believe like it was just we had to make stuff that went as hard as possible. And that would have been actually one of the times I made something that I made for others, like rather than what I wanted to really do, because the theme of the Balloon Party at that time was, yeah, just like go hard, but the inspiration is, your very 2012 dubstep. So it was kind of not something I did. I think the track I made was fine, but like I didn't have a whole lot of fun doing it. Like it has a build up, it has a drop, it has dubsteppy elements, whatever you want to call them.
I think the technical term is called wobs.
Yeah, that would be the technical term. And like I don't know, I wasn't used to making that, and I definitely made it for the sake of this is what we have to make here. But like other compilations and things like that definitely felt a lot more free, and it was nice to just sort of be on one of those. Like I don't know, other than that, like just being on it was nice.
So do you feel like that experience with Balloon Party changed the way you approached compilations in the future, or was it that the compilations themselves changed?
Yeah, I think it's that the compilations themselves changed. Balloon Party has always been, well, was always kind of not strict by any means, but like a little more guided in its approach, which is absolutely fine. Like if you want a compilation of similar sounding stuff, um, that's absolutely not a problem. And then I'd say the one that freed me up a little bit more was when Pinkamena Party started doing their sort of parodies of Balloon Party alongside, where it was just a little more shitposty, but like leaning towards hardcore and just balls to the wall music. And that stuff really there was a lot less rules. It was just go for it, make something that really shouts. Um, so those definitely opened me up after doing the Balloon Party stuff and made me, just a lot more limber when it comes to compilation things.
Yeah, yeah. And so more recently, you've been a consistent contributor to Ponies at Dawn. Has that more just been like, I'm going to throw what I'm feeling at you, and if you like it, that's great?
Yeah, obviously there's a little bit of that, but there is also a little bit of catering going on there too, because Ponies at Dawn is one of the more strict ones when it comes to like quality of music. Um, I won't go into details, but I do know a little bit about the back end of how all that goes, and like I can't really just throw in anything.
Yeah, of course.
Because they won't get accepted if it's garbage.
Yeah, especially now. Not so much in early Ponies at Dawn, but the behemoth it's become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first or maybe second Ponies at Dawn I submitted to, I can't remember. I submitted more than one track, and one of them didn't make it. So, but that was a very sort of. I submitted one that I'm not going to say I knew would get in, but certainly was catered to getting in. And I submitted another one that was very experimental and tried to push their limits of what they would accept. And obviously, I broke that limit and didn't get accepted. But that's absolutely fine. Like, there's no salt there.
Yeah, yeah. They've got a sound. They know what they want to push. Yeah. All right, let's wind the clock forward a bit. Did you go to many conventions, have a lot of like in real life involvement with the community sort of in the middle of the decade? Or was it mostly just online?
Yeah, I'd say that the middle of the decade was my I wouldn't say I took a break from the fandom, but like it was where I simmered down a bit. Most of my convention going was in the early years, so the BronyCons, the Bucks. I didn't make it to the last Buck because at that point, all of my UK friends had sort of just drifted away from the fandom, stopped caring. So I didn't really have anyone to go with for a start, so I didn't. So it ended up being the next time was in 2019.
Yep.
With Koa when I went to Whinny City. So that was a very big break as far as conventions went. And yeah, sort of in between there, I still made pony music every now and then, but obviously the community that I was in with all the musicians and such just sort of fizzled, and it just wasn't as strong. So anything I was making was kind of just felt very solitary.
Did it not have the sort of frenetic energy you'd come to expect?
Yeah, like it didn't. As a result of all my friends sort of just petering out and not being in the fandom as much anymore, pretty much after seasons 3 and 4, that's when just the momentum and spark of having everyone else involved around you went away. And so yeah, anything I would make was probably less inspired, or just I enjoyed it less because there was no one to share it with, there was no one to bounce ideas with. It was a very lonely time for a while.
Yeah. But in the past couple of years, I definitely feel like you've accelerated. And you're really back punching, both with music and live performances. What's changed in the past couple of years?
So in the past couple of years, obviously I met Koa in 2018, and we decided to start watching MLP again. Because she was uh, somewhat interested in it, hadn't watched all of it. Um, Decided to just catch up and get back into the later seasons and things like that. And then we got sort of just back into making music for it, and we've found a whole new group of friends who are still making music in the community and just settled in with them, and now the magic is back, kind of. So yeah, now that we have this new group of uh, friends that we can just bounce ideas off of and make music with, it's kind of like it never ended, I guess. Like that part in the middle, just, well, I'm glad it didn't stay that way, and it's been very inspiring and uplifting to just sort of have these feelings again.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on why that changed? Like, why you found the group again? Or a different group of people to work with? Do you think it's a statement of the fandom at large, or just that you just found a crowd that you hadn't known about before?
Yeah, it's hard to say, really. It was very much a gradient from sort of not being in the friend group to being in a friend group. Like, it wasn't an instant moment where people found us or we found them. It was kind of just like, hey, we're back on the pony music scene, and then some more people started talking to us. I don't remember. I'd say Discord has been, like, the program has been a wonderful gate. Have to clarify. Has been a wonderful gateway into just being friends with more people, because as you attend servers for conventions or gigs or just small friend groups, and they invite you in, like, obviously then you're just talking to lots of people again, and that's how it all came back. I think I'd say Discord is one of the big proponents.
Interesting. I haven't thought about that before, but that's a pretty logical hypothesis. All right.
Hmm.
So you met Koa in 2018. In
Mhm.
the short time since, you now co-run Mumble, etc. with her. You've produced more songs than I can count, and you've gotten married.
Mhm.
What was that? Do you feel like that as well, having that sort of person to consistently collaborate or bounce ideas off, has helped with your process?
Hell yeah! Like, I I will try my best to never take it for granted, just like how fortunate I am to be with someone who does what I do with just as much passion. Um, it really is just like, it's one of those things where if it were gone, I would really, really feel it. Because, yeah, just being able to bounce ideas off each other all the time and just be like, "Hey, do you wanna just quickly do this for me? Do you wanna quickly feature here? Do you wanna do this? Do you wanna do that? Do you think this is good? Do you blah, blah, blah?" Like, that's happening all the time on a very personal level, and it's like, it's hard to explain. Just now that I have it, I don't really know what it would be like if it was gone, but I certainly would not want it to be. But, like, yeah, I couldn't really ask for a better collaborative partner on music or life.
Yeah, of course. And it might be hard to explain, but as someone watching from the outside, I can definitely see it. Like
Mhm.
it shows in your music and your art and Koa's art. Just like the connection you share. I think it's beautiful.
One thing I'd like to add to that, actually, I think one of the biggest things that Koa has helped with is live performance for me. Because, as I said, like, the cons I went to back in the day, I very much just sort of danced around on stage like an idiot, played around with some effects, and that was about it. Um, when we did performances in cons together in the last few years, we have focused very much on just the fact that we don't want to DJ, we want to perform stuff. So let's really make that our own. And so that has also shaped my musical production to trying to make things with more vocals in it of my own, because that's something you can very easily perform on stage. Whereas if you don't have those, you're just dancing with some music. And so I've wanted to make more vocal music, and I've wanted to perform more vocal music. So that has certainly shaped both performance and production for me.
Yeah. And how did you find, firstly, performing at Whinny City and TrotCon in 2019? But also, how did you find being in the audience? Did it feel different to those early conventions you went to?
Yeah, it definitely felt different. Performance-wise, at first it was very scary. It was my first time in Whinny City performing in many, many years, like 5 years or something. And I didn't really know what to expect. But it was being in the audience for it helped, because it was a very sort of like, compared to BronyCon and Buck, a more subdued atmosphere. What with it being smaller conventions than the both of those, it was very personal, very nice, just sort of like, a small ballroom kind of space. And it was nerve-wracking, but it was very fun, and it was very cozy, and you felt very close and intimate to the audience, with both that and TrotCon. So that was what made them different, and I think I prefer that, if I'm honest.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we've been talking a fair bit about your recent productions in Koa, so let's play Bliss Out, featuring Koa from Ponies at Dawn Ignite. Do you have anything to say about this one?
I'm sure I can think of a weed joke.
What the top comment on the Ponies at Dawn video is, "This is the best advertisement for weed I've ever heard."
Yeah, I couldn't say it better.
All right, let's let this one play out.
All right.
Out.
Smooth as fuck. All right, let's put the big retrospective hats on. Where do you feel like you'd be as a musician and as a person more generally without Pony?
Ooh, good question. No idea. Next question. No. That is a great question. So, okay, like, my introduction to the pony fandom was also eventually my introduction to the furry fandom, which I'm not as far into. But my first instinct was to say, well, maybe I'd be there. But maybe I wouldn't, because without Pony, that wouldn't have happened either, maybe. Or I might have found a different way in. I don't know. I would probably try to keep making music, but like I don't know if I'd have all the inspiration I have now. What with the furry fandom letting me have different characters, or the pony fandom just giving me reasons to make music all the time. So that's really hard to answer.
And you got into Pony pretty young, right? Like early 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been
2011, so 21. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty formative part of your adult life, I guess, which is probably one of the reasons why it's a hard one to answer. Do you have any proudest accomplishments in the fandom?
I mean, yeah, I guess they would just be some of the songs I've made, but like off the top of my head, that's another tough one. Like, I have so many babies that like, which one is my favorite? Which baby am I proud of? I guess just sort of having like a level of notoriety, or some niche popular corner of the fandom. Like, I know I'm not the biggest name in the fandom by any means, back then or now, but like it's nice to sort of populate a corner of slight weirdness, and I think I'm just generally proud of that. Like, I don't know, the community that I have like on Discord or whatever is fairly tightly knit, and I guess it just goes to show that like the people that like the stuff I make enjoy a nice spread of music, and like I do. So
Yeah.
to sort of harbor some fans like that and just generally be known for not settling down in any one genre is something I'm very proud of.
Yeah. You've built the portfolio that gives you the fans that are dedicated enough that they are not electro fans or metal fans. They are General Mumble fans. I think that's a real testament to any creator. When you sort of build that personal fan base rather than, I don't know, body of work fan base, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the reward that comes with just doing your own thing, and I guess the flip side of that is that like it will grow slower probably, but you don't get that sort of mainstream appeal, but you get the appeal of like being a lot tighter and closer knit.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my final questions is why. Sorry, I'm gonna say, why are you still here? But like, why do you think you've kept cracking along with Pony, and what do you think the future holds for General Mumble?
It's all about the clout. That's all I care about. That's why I'm still here. I don't know. It's just fun.
Yep.
I never wanted to leave. And I never really wanted to sort of like fizzle out a little bit in the middle. So the fact that it's come back is just why I'm still here, is because it's still going and it's still fun.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, like just like I said, finding that new friend group and new people who are working on stuff has just been such a great drive, and it's just great to be there again. As far as the future goes, I don't know. I'm very much a take it every day or each day at a time kind of person. So like, I don't know. I'd like to have something break through again and like pull some numbers like it did in the early days, but I don't really mind that it doesn't. Just
Yeah.
as long as I can keep doing this, and keep working on creative projects and just even slowly just making a living off of it and just do that. That's all I really want to do. So
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, I think that just about covers it. Thank you very much for your time. Where can people find you on the internet?
well, there's the website mumbleetcetera.com. That should lead you to most places, but obviously I have a Twitter, which is just General Mumble. My wife has a Twitter /Koapony or @Koapony. Twitter is our most active place, and we have a Discord server, which you can find it on our Twitters.
And I want to say as well, you've got an excellent wiki for Mumble, etc.
Yes.
That is, I don't know if it's been updated in a while, but if anyone is ever looking to investigate the lore of all of your characters or look at the background behind your albums, it's a really good resource, especially for someone with as complicated a body of work as yours. The fact that you've put the effort into creating a site like that, I'm personally really grateful for, because it makes my job researching a lot easier. But I think, yeah, it speaks to a level of dedication that is fucking good on ya.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. Like, it means a lot to hear that, honestly. Like, the wiki has definitely been a lot of work.
Yeah.
So.
The final question I have, Iron Curtain asks, why do they call it oven when you in the cold food and out hot eat the food?
See, I saw this on Twitter and I wish I had like memorized a response for it. Just fuck off, Iron.
And that is as good place to leave it as any. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the Brony Music History podcast for another week. I'm so sorry it's been a while between drinks, but I've been battling health issues and lockdown malaise, but I'm feeling better than I have in a long time. So we'll be back cracking on soon, interviewing more guests and uncovering more gems from the history of the Brony fandom. Thanks and good night. This is Rockfox signing out.
Bye.